Hello everyone and welcome to week 4 on the Dean's Family Wellbeing Journey. Today we did a quick recap on the River of Wellbeing where we looked at where we fell in the river.
Yeah, not literally falling in the river because that wouldn't be quite so calming, but about being in the river, centre of the river, in your boat, floating happily down the middle, where you're in a good calm place. And we use the hand model of the brain to remind ourselves to be in this integrated calm state. And we started to think a little bit more as we get used to this model where we are in it. So for those of us who are a bit more scatty and get caught up in the chaos that's around us, and for some of us we get more rigid and fixed in our thinking, and we have to have things done in a certain way and very ordered, and we become quite controlling. So the more anxious we get, the more stressed we get, the more controlling we'll be of our surroundings and in our parenting. So it was quite interesting to see how different personalities in the room, how we all have different areas that we go to, and some of us bounce between the one riverbank and the other one. So yeah, it was good to share some thoughts around that, and that this idea of having the self-awareness but with compassion, and that's the key, isn't it? It's not beating ourselves up because we go, oh, I've handled it this way, I got overwhelmed and I got stressed and I did this and I did that. It's about recognizing, you know what, I'm dealing with a lot, and because of that I'm feeling anxious and stressed, and so I've started to become a bit chaotic, I've started to become a bit controlling, and being kind and recognizing that actually we all struggle sometimes, and the focus needs to be on how do I get myself in the centre of the river, how do I take a breath, get myself calmer. And some of it is about reducing the expectations on yourself, because sometimes we've got so much going on that it would be impossible for anyone in our situation to be in the middle of the river. So it's about having realistic expectations, remembering that none of us are superwomen, we're all human, and having kindness and compassion towards ourselves.
And Tracy also shared a picture with us today, and I'm just wondering, maybe you want to pause the video, what you see first. What I saw first when I looked at the picture was the 12, 13 and 14, and then the ABC. Tracy explained, well, actually asked the group what we all saw, and everyone in the room saw something different, which was amazing. And Tracy can explain what that means.
There's no right or wrong in it. So for those of you who are thinking, hang on, where's the catch? Am I meant to see the numbers first? Am I meant to see the letters first? Because we're all quite skeptical. It's actually, there's no right or wrong. It's just this idea of recognizing that we've all got unconscious bias. We've all got different ways of seeing exactly the same situation. So when we go into a room, when we're in a situation, we will all naturally have different ways of looking at what's going on around us. And it's recognizing that because of that will impact on how we respond. So there was that picture, and then we use this other picture. Do you want to show the next picture?
Well, I'll get a bit upset about this picture, to be honest, but yes, I will share it. So it's again, there's no right or wrong. So you only see 2 women on this picture. I can see one, and that's the young lady, where Tracy, you can see
the old woman. So if you, again, like Nadine said, you can pause the video and just take a few minutes to look at it, and some of you will look at it and straight away you'll see a picture of an old lady, and some of you will look at it and you'll see a picture of a young woman. And again, there's no right or wrong, and some people will be able to see both and some people will only be able to see one or the other. But it's just this idea of thinking about how we see things, because often how we see things affects how we respond to it. And that can cause difficulties if we see things a certain way, but our children see them a different way. And so we go into this idea of where we are on the river. If I'm looking at a situation one way and my child's looking at it a different way, and I'm not in a good place that day, I'm likely to get into loggerheads and arguments and discussions with my child that are perhaps not very helpful, just because we're seeing the same situation differently. And when we're in a good place, when we're calm and regulated and we're in the middle of the river of well-being, we're able to stop and see our child's perspective, recognise our perspective, and then find that middle ground and problem solve whatever the situation is. But if we flipped our lid, if we're not in that river of well-being, we're not able to do that. So it's about recognising where your bias is, recognising how your children see things, and keeping yourself calm so that you can recognize what's going on, and then effectively problem solve. So it was just a little fun exercise to think about.
And it was good because it was kind of making you realize that actually I always think I'm the adult, this is the child, so actually my perspective is the right one because Zach's only little, but actually no, he's got his way of thinking, I've got my way of thinking, but both here is just it's my duty as a parent to protect him, but actually he's got a right to also have his own view on something too.
Definitely. And when we understand that, we get less caught up in difficult things. So if we can understand that our perspective is we really want to get here on time, and we need to get the shopping done, and we need to do the school run, and we need to do all these different things, but their perspective is they've spent a really long time getting to a certain level on a game, and they just want to finish the level so they don't lose how far they've got, and they just need those extra 2 minutes. When I can recognise, okay, this is what's important to me, this is what's important to them, how do I navigate that situation so that I value what his perspective is? So I might need to still end the game, but actually I might be able to have those extra 2 minutes where I let him get to the point where he can save it and keep the level. So it's about taking into account different perspectives, because it really does improve family life. And then we talked about this idea of where our thoughts take us. Again, it's this idea of going back to the hand model of the brain, and what we're trying to do all the time is help ourselves stay in this calm state so that we're able to respond positively. When we can access this front part of our brains, and we can recognise what's going on, and we can problem solve in a way that protects our relationship with our children and gets a positive outcome. So we know that actually often our thoughts take us to a point where we just flip our lid, and that's because when we go into a situation and we have a thought about it, we will always automatically interpret that thought as good or bad. And we talked a little bit about that and gave some examples of how easy it is to straight away put a value judgment on something. Oh no, I've overslept, so I'm going to be late. That's bad. And as soon as I attach that bad connotation to it, then actually my emotions are going to start to feel anxious about that. And because I'm feeling anxious, then my body is going to have all the symptoms of being anxious. My heart's going to race, I'm going to feel sweaty and hot and bothered. And then because of that, because I've got all worked up and wound up, my behaviour, I'll have been triggered, I'll flip my lid, and then I'll start might be getting cross or shouting or rushing around like a mad thing and making mistakes because I'm trying to do too many things at once. And then we all know that doesn't work, and you end up making more mistakes, or trying to rush the kids, and then they get anxious, and because they're anxious they flip their lid and they're not thinking straight, so then they can't find their shoes, or they don't know where they put the bag, or they forget their water bottle, and then we're getting cross with them. And this is all just because, if we backtrack all of it, it's because something happened and we attached a value to it, which was this is bad, and we could all relate to that, couldn't we?
Definitely. And I really like the whole, when you mentioned about this, you're like a steam train, that's it. Gone for it.
Because you start off in the initial thought as in you're just walking, and it's just okay, this is what we're doing. But by the time you've added a this is bad to it, you've got momentum because you're cycling, and then you bring in the emotion, and then you're in a car and you're moving at a fast pace, and then you add in the bodily feelings, and you're actually on a truck and you're going really fast. And by the time you get to the behaviour bit, you're on a steam train, and that's it. And we're usually, if we've attached a bad value to something, the direction that steam train is taking us headlong into is usually not helpful.
It really escalates as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So it was about this idea of being curious about what's going on and what thoughts we have and where those thoughts take us, and then in this really non-judgmental way, recognizing, okay, how can I maybe step in and not put those values onto things, and just take a breath, ground myself. We talked about grounding, and respond in a different way to get a different outcome, so I don't get caught up in this steam train. So we did spend a few moments then thinking about this idea of being mindful of how we keep ourselves a bit calmer and grounded. And you had some thoughts around that, didn't you?
Yeah, it's just I think we said this last week, wasn't it, about mindful and mindful?
Yeah.
And I was just saying to Tracy how I went out for brunch with my partner, and normally my mind would just be full of things that I haven't, not doing or anything, but actually I sat there and my partner went, "Are you okay?" And I was like, yeah, for the first time I've got nothing in my head telling me I need to do this, or I've got to do that. Everything was just free. And it's just remembering that, you know, us as people, we also need our own self-care, and to be in that present moment. And then I was a much better person, I felt, that day as well, because then when I come home and did do the things, I had more time with my child as well, because I wasn't so, I call it mindful. Trying to remember the two different. But yeah, I love this clip. And judgment. I find that everyone, we always feel like we're being judged by other people, and you just got to remember that it doesn't matter what other people are thinking. You know your child, and you know yourself, and you're doing the best you can, and you just literally ignore all that and just work with you and your child. And that's the most important part, really.
Just focusing on the opinions of the people that really care about you and matter, isn't it? And just recognising that we need to take judgment away, replace it with curiosity. And then when we're curious about what's happening, then we can problem solve and we can create different habits.
Now, there's another poster I shared about grounding with 5 senses. Now, some people might find all these things in one go quite overwhelming. So you could just take one, for example, and maybe choose 3 things you can hear. Me personally, I'll probably be 5 things I can probably see, because Zach and I do like to play a little bit of I Spy on the way to school. So that's something that will probably ground me. But this is something you can go away and think about. I know next week we're going to do a grounding with taste, which would be interesting. I'm wondering what Tracy might bring in. Hopefully something nice. But yeah, these are just ideas for grounding yourself with 5 senses. But I will post the picture up as well.
And we talked about this idea of coming back to not being judgmental. It's actually just accepting who we are. So this ability to let go of who we think we're supposed to be, like this idea of being superwoman, and actually embracing who we are, because we've all got really lovely qualities, and we've all got bits we'd like to change about ourselves, and we've all got our own little quirks. But actually that's what makes us all unique and special, and it's recognizing that and valuing who we are. Because when we can value who we are and accept ourselves, warts and all, then straight away we're going to be calmer. We go back to this idea of where we are on the River of Wellbeing. Actually, straight away, if we can stop being so harsh, stop that critical little voice on our shoulders that's pointing out everything we're doing wrong, when we can actually just say, you know, I'm doing my best, I love my kids, I'm doing my best by them, and actually there's bits I'm getting right and there's bits I need to work on, and all of that's okay, then I can be in a better place. And when I'm in a better place, then my connection with my kids is going to be better, my relationships are going to be better, and things are going to be calmer. And also with that, we role modeling that with our children, because we want them to value themselves and accept themselves, all, you know, as a whole package, the good bits, the bad bits, their unique qualities. And one of the ways we talked about doing that was about having people around us who actually value us for who we are, and for our children to have people around them who value them for who they are, and then really investing into those relationships. So if you've got people around you who build you up and make you feel good, those are the people you need to be investing your time into. So there's an encouragement to do that this week, to focus on that and positive friendships.
So that was that this week, but it was an amazing session today. If you have any questions or comments, please let us know, and we'll be back next week with more material.
Yeah, brilliant. Look forward to it.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.